Hi, this is Tamara at Mooglyblog.com, and in this video I'm going to be demonstrating how to make the All Grown Up Earwarmer. This is a free crochet pattern that you'll find on Mooglyblog.com, including 2 sizes. For the purposes of this video, I'll just be demoing the large size, which should fit a 22 to 24 inch head. This pattern calls for a US eye hook, which I have here by Furls, and Lion Brand Vanna's Choice in 2 colors. Let's get started. Okay, so I've gone ahead and finished round 1 of the All Grown Up Earwarmer, or almost, I should say. What I've done is made 62 foundation double crochets. If you're not familiar with foundation double crochets, please do check out the tutorial on the Moogly blog channel. After I've made my 62 foundation double crochets, I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the first one I made so that I'll be working in the round. So I'll go in under those top 2 loops and make a slip stitch. Now, you'll notice that leaves the bottom of this round open. So what I'll do when I'm ready to weave in my ends is thread this on a tapestry needle and go under those top, or rather the bottom 2 loops of that last foundation double crochet there, just to cinch that up before I weave in that end, and that helps finish off that round. So let's go ahead and begin round 2. I'm going to start with a chain 2 that does not count as a stitch. This is just a turning chain. From there, I'm going to work a front post double crochet around the first stitch, back post around the next. Front post double crochet, back post double crochet, front post double crochet, back post double crochet, all the way around. And this is going to give us our first round of ribbing. If you're not familiar with post stitches, please do watch the video tutorial for that too. I have a separate video tutorial for post stitches, also known as raised or relief stitches, on the Mooglyblog.com channel. So you'll want to check that out if you're not familiar. Real quick, as a refresher, if you've made them before but maybe it's been a while, for the front post, we go from the front around the post of the stitch, pull up our loop, and then finish our double crochet. For the back post stitches, we come from behind, go around the post, pull up a loop, and finish our double crochet. So I'm going to continue just switching back and forth between front post and back post as I go all the way around this round, so I will see you when we get to the end of round 2. Okay, and here I am at the end of round 2. You can see I've made a back post double crochet around the last one, which is a little wobbly there, but that'll firm up once we use that tail end to sew those together. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is skip that chain 2. Remember, that's not a stitch. So I'll go into the top of that first front post double crochet and make my slip stitch there to finish off round 2. Now, the joy of round 3 is that it's exactly identical to round 2. So we're going to start with a chain 2. Once again, doesn't count as a stitch. Then I'm going to work a front post double crochet around the first stitch, which was already a front post double crochet, and then a back post double crochet around the next one. So basically, front post around all your front post stitches and back post around all your back post. And I'll see you at the end of round 3. All right, and here we are at the end of round 3. I've got my front post stitches around my front post stitches and my back post stitches around my back post stitches. To finish off round 3, rather than joining, I'm going to cut the yarn and use a seamless join. So I'm going to cut the yarn, leaving about 6 inches, like I normally would for a tail. And then with my tapestry needle, before I put it on the tapestry needle, at first I need to pull that loop through. So I'll just take my hook, pull straight up, and that pulls the end straight up through that stitch. Now I'll put it on my tapestry needle, and then I will find that front post double crochet. Remember, that was the first stitch of the round. Because I want to maintain my stitch count, and you'll see why this works in a minute, I want to go to the next stitch, put my needle under both those loops of the second stitch of the round, and then right over the top of the front one, literally above it in space, I'm going to be creating a duplicate stitch for my seamless join. So you can see this is where the yarn comes out of. I'm just going to skip right over that first stitch again, go to the last stitch of the round, insert my hook right back down through the center of that stitch, like so. And when I pull on it, sometimes it gets a little twisted. You can just untwist it like that with your fingers. There we go. It wants to stay twisted, but that's okay. It'll all get covered up too in the next round. But we've created a little V right on top of that first one of the round. So to help anchor it down, I'm going to go through the top of that one now, the one that we skipped, just like so. And by tugging and adjusting a little bit, I can get that V we just made with our tapestry needle to be the same size as the V's on the stitches. And you can see that hides it pretty darn well. And then from there, of course, I would just weave in my end normally. Now, at this point, I could also weave in this end here, of course, sewing it in first, but I'm actually going to leave this open because this way I always know at a glance that this is the bottom, and then this is the most recent round. So you can see we've got rounds 1 through 3. This is our ribbing, and it gives us a really nice stretch. And this stretch is also not just because of the post stitches, but because of the foundation stitches. So that's why for this pattern, you really do want to use foundation stitches to begin. So let's move on to round 4. For round 4, we're going to bring in our second color. I've just kind of got an off-white color here. I think it's called beige. Fair enough. We've got the beige here. This is a great pattern if you want to do anything in team colors or school colors, because it is a 2-color pattern with some great bold stripes. So to begin round 4 with color B, we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first stitch of the previous round. Now we know because of our seamless join, that's actually our seamless join fake stitch right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and go under those 2 loops and make a slip stitch like so. And I like to pull my ends down a little tight so I know that that's really secure on there. From there, I'll chain 1, and then I'm going to single crochet in the first 10 stitches. So 1, let's see here, 2, that one wanted to hide from me a little bit. There we are. 3, 4, and it doesn't matter if they're both back post, front post, just the first 10 stitches. Let's see, is that 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, after that, we will half double crochet in the next 10 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and then next we will double crochet in the next 22 stitches. The difference is if we were making this small, we wouldn't have nearly so many stitches to make the double crochets into. So for the smaller size in the written pattern, again, do be sure to go to the link in the video description. So that's 3, got 4, and remember we're going to 22 with this one. So just keep crocheting around until you get to 22. Pull up a little bit more yarn here. I'll go ahead and make these right along beside you. If you're not familiar with any of the stitches used in here, once again, remember there are Moogly blog tutorials for single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet. You'll find all of those on the Moogly blog YouTube channel and on the site if you happen to be on the Mooglyblog.com site. So we are almost all the way through our 22 thing, I think, here, judging by how far across we are. I've got a few more to go, because then we're going to mirror it with the half double crochets and single crochets on the other end. So let me make one more and then I'll see where I'm at here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So just 2 more and then we'll be ready to go back to our half double crochets. Okay, so once we've got our 22 double crochets made, then it's time to go back to half double crochets for another 10 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if you need to pause to make yours, that is totally fine. Do whatever you need to do until you've got your next 10 half double crochets made here. I think that was 10. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. So I should have 10 stitches left to make my single crochets into. So let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Perfect. So I'm right back here to that first stitch that we joined to, so I'm just going to join that with a slip stitch, and that is the end of round 4. Round 5 is exact same thing, except we don't have to join again. We chain 1, then we work 10 single crochets, followed by 10 half double crochets, 22 double crochets, 10 half double crochets again, and then 10 single crochets. So let's go ahead and work that one. This one's pretty easy because, again, you're just working the same stitch into the same stitch. So you know if you're on working into a single crochet, you work a single crochet. If you're working into a half double crochet, you work a half double crochet, and so on. So this one's pretty darn easy, and I will see you at the end of round 5. All right, so at the end of round 5, I've made my 10 single crochets, my total of 62 stitches. I've cut my yarn, and I'll go ahead and pull it up, because we are done with, for now, with color B. So I will do the same thing I did before. Put my yarn on the tapestry needle, go to the second stitch of the round, and create my seamless join, like so. You don't have to go back under the 2 loops of that first stitch that you skipped, but I like to. It makes it a little bit more convincing. It creates some of the more details underneath, and it just makes it a little bit of a firmer join. Now, normally, of course, I would weave in all these ends really well, going back and forth, but for the sake of time, I'll just slip them under there so we can go ahead and begin round 6. Now, for round 6, I like to go back to color A, but you could do this in a rainbow of colors if you like. It's a great stash buster. You can change colors every time, whatever you like to do. So, with color A, I guess, round 6, I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the first stitch of the previous round. So I'll come back here, see if I can find it here. I believe that was this one right here. Go under those top 2 loops and make my slip stitch, just as before. Now this round is a little bit different. What I'm going to do is work a back post single crochet in the first 10 stitches. And I want to keep these a little shallower. I don't want these to be as textured as the post stitches right here. So I'm just going to go under the sets of loops at the top here. Rather than going down around the post itself, I'm just going to go under those loops. And these are back post stitches. So I'm coming from behind. So there's 1 back post single crochet, pull up my loop, and there's 2. So I'm going to go ahead and make 10 of those. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see here. Fabric's doubling up on me a little bit there. 9 and 10. And then after that, we make 10 back post half double crochets. So you can see we're mimicking that previous row again, but this time we're doing it with these shallow post stitches. And these are great because they work just like other post stitches, so you already know how to make them. But what I really like is that by working them under these top 2 loops like this in this shallow version, it doesn't add as much texture while still adding a little bit of texture. It's sort of a halfway point between no texture and too much texture, more than you might want in the middle of a headband that's not the ribby part, so to speak. So I'm not sure how far I am, but it looks like I've got 2 more to go here. I will go back and count to be sure after I pull up some more yarn. There we are. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 half double crochets in the back post stitch version there. You can see that's creating a really nice sort of pinstripe effect where the blue just peeks under the off-white or the beige. So after our back post half double crochets, back post, double crochet, 22. Bet you couldn't guess. So we're going to go ahead and do that again. So it's just like the previous 2 rows, only this time you're making those shallow post stitches. Then of course, after we've made 22 back post double crochets, we'll go back with 10 more half double crochets and 10 more single crochets, all worked as back post stitches to finish out round 6. So I'll see you at the end of this round. All right, here we are at the end of round 6. I'm ready to slip stitch in the first stitch made, and that finishes off round 6. You can see we have a slight color jog there where we joined and chained 1. To avoid this, what you can do is look for standing single crochet. There is a tutorial for that on the YouTube channel for Mooglyblog.com, and that will teach you how to make a standing single crochet, which can then be worked as a a back post single crochet in this case, to go ahead and join right with that instead of the slip stitch. But for now, we're just going to work our standard stitches. So to begin round 7, we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to work exactly the same as round 5. We're going to single crochet in the first 10, half double crochet in 10 after that, and double crochet in 22 after that. I'm sure you see that that is exactly the same as one row we did, or the row we did a couple rows ago, our second row of white there, or whatever color you're using for color B. So I'm just going to go ahead and work those 10 single crochets followed by 10 half double crochets, and see you at the end, and then 22 double crochets, 10 half double, and back to 10 single, and I will see you at the end of round 7. All right, and here you can see I have finished round 7. I did 10 single crochets, 10 half double crochets, 22 double crochets, 10 half double crochets, and 10 single crochets until I came all the way back around here. And then I used that seamless join where I cut the yarn and made the duplicate stitch to go ahead and finish that off. Now, the next section is exactly the same as the previous 2 rows, only, again, in our next color. So since I've got an opportunity to add more rows here, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that standing single crochet in the post stitch style that gets rid of that little jog right there. What I'm going to do is start with a slip stitch in the new color already on my hook, and you can see I'm not attached to the headband at all, to our ear warmer. I'm going to go back and find that first stitch right there, and I'm just going to go ahead and make my back post single crochet without doing any sort of slip stitch and join. Did you catch that? You can see I've already started making that first stitch. Well, I have finished that first stitch, so I've started making that row, and I don't have any slip stitching there. Let me show you that one more time. I'm going to start with the slip knot on my hook, like so. Then you can see I hold that little tail in the unused fingers of my hook hand. That makes it a little easier. And then just go right around that first stitch for that first back post single crochet, just as we normally would. Because we've already got that first loop and slip stitch on our hook, you can just make it just like that, and then you don't have that slip stitch join. So from there, we're going to just, like I said, go ahead and repeat the last 2 rows again. 10 back post single crochets, 10 back post half double crochets, 22 back post double crochets, followed by 10 back post half double crochets, and finally 10 back post single crochets. And then of course the next round is just like it, only we're not going into the post stitches, just like the previous round we did here where we just went into the tops of the stitches as normal. So, and that is that would be rounds 8 and 9. So I will see you at the end of round 9. Remember, we're just mimicking the last 2 rows here with our new color. So I'll see you there. All right, so you can see here I have finished rounds 8 and 9 in our beige color. You can also see that by using that standing stitch, I avoided that little color jog right there and get a nice clean line of the blue showing on top of the white. You can also see at this point how the back with the single crochets is much shorter than the front with the double crochets. This does make a very wide ear warmer style headband to cover the ears. So, and we're not done yet. It's going to get a little bit thicker yet. So if this is too thick for you, you can absolutely eliminate these last 2 sections and just make a narrower, more headband style version of the All Grown Up Earwarmer. But for now, we're going to go ahead and finish it as written. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull up my yarn, color A here, so I can begin round 10. Now, according to the instructions, we should slip stitch and chain, but that creates that color jog. So I'm going to do that little trick I showed you before, but this time we're going to be doing it with double crochet. It's called a standing double crochet, and again, it has a separate tutorial on Mooglyblog.com, but a quick summary for those, or a refresher for those who've done it before, and a little overview for those who haven't. I'm going to hold on to the unused, or rather the end of the yarn with my unused fingers of my hook hand, the ones not holding the hook. I'm going to yarn over twice, 1, 2, then I insert my hook in the first stitch or wherever indicated under both those loops, just as normal, because we're just making double crochets this round. I'm going to pull up my loop and finish my double crochet, but before I let go of that beginning tail, I'm going to go ahead and make the double crochet in the next stitch, like so. And by doing so, then I know I can let go of that tail and it's going to stay right there waiting for me to weave it in at the end. So I've got a really nice clean join here without having to do any sort of slip stitching and chain. Even though we're not doing the shallow post stitches, it's just a little bit cleaner look right here. But it's optional. If you prefer, you can join with a slip stitch, chain 2, and then just start double crocheting around, because that is all we're going to be doing in round 10. We just double crochet in each stitch around. Basically what we're doing here is we're getting set up to do another set of ribbing on the other side of our headband. So just go ahead and double crochet in each stitch, and I will see you at the end of round 10. Okay, and so here we are at the end of round 10. I've made a double crochet in each stitch, just working into it normally, no worrying about post stitches at all. So I will slip stitch to that first stitch. Now, because we did a standing one, it's a little bit more delicate getting under those top 2 loops, but you should still have 2 top loops to slip stitch to. And then the last 2 rounds are going to be very, very familiar. If you remember rounds 2 and 3, all we do is, let me find my end again here. All my little ends are starting to add up on me. I chain 2 and then do a front post double crochet around the first one and a back post double crochet around the next. You'll notice these are not the shallow style. For the ribbing here, I really like to go ahead and go all the way down to the post rather than doing the shallow version. I just think it works a little bit better for a ribbing. But that's it. The last 2 rounds here are just front post followed by back post, followed by front post, followed by back post, all the way around. So I will see you at the end of those very, very soon. All right, and here I am at the end of round 12. Remember, those last 2 rounds were just front post followed by back post, front, back to create the top side of our ribbing rather. So at this point now, I could go ahead and join a slip stitch, or I'll do my seamless join where I cut the yarn, pull it on up, and then use my needle to finish that off. So we're just going to demo that one more time real quick here. Now, because this is the last round and I don't need to work another round into this, I'm all done with my project, I could go ahead and just go into that first one if I wanted to. I don't have to go into the second one. So I'll go ahead and do that. Going into the second one is to maintain stitch count, since this creates what looks like a stitch as you're crocheting, sort of like a slip stitch. You could accidentally end up crocheting into there. So it's good to go into the second one if you've got more work to do, but if not, you can go ahead and just go into that last one there to finish off. And there we are. So at this point, of course, I would weave in all these ends. There's a few on this project. And I would also, let me pull the other ends out of the way so you can see it a little easier here. This is where I would also go ahead and finish up the bottom of row 1, or round 1 rather. I would go ahead and, or I will go ahead, put the needle on the hook, go ahead and flip it right upside down. And then I just do the same thing and kind of find that bottom of our first foundation double crochet and go under there. And of course this comes from a knot, so we don't have a real pretty stitch there, but I can just go under the knot, pull it up tight like so, and then weave in that end from there. So let me just tack that down like so. Like I said, from there I would go ahead and weave in the ends. This is the back, goes behind the head. This is the front that goes in front of the head. You can see it just has a really neat look. Great for sports teams, just for keeping your ears warm, whatever you'd want to make it, whatever colors you want to use. You could make one for every outfit if you wanted to. And now let's take a look at a picture of my daughter wearing it. Here's the original finished one, made in Vanna's Choice in Silver Gray and Rose Mist. So you can take a look at how that fits. She was an early teen at the time. I believe this was the large size. What can I say? Big heads run in our family. So that's how the All Grown Up Earwarmer is made. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do give it a like and subscribe to our channel. And thank you so much for watching.